church and the community. My name is Rismiller. I'm the Director of Children and Family Ministries here at West Lawn, and it is my privilege to offer to you another daily devotional. We're so blessed that you've been tuning in and using these times, these small, short times of devotion each and every day to lead you closer to God and closer to Christ. And many of us, myself included, have been very blessed by these opportunities. So thank you. Today, life verse. We've been challenged to share with you our life verse and what that means to us. And I have to tell you, when I heard that was the theme or the topic, it drew up a whole bunch of stress in my body. See, if you were to ask me what my favorite ice cream flavor is or what my favorite movie is, I immediately get the same type of stress. Like, I can't just pick one. There's so many that I like, and depending on the day and the situation and the circumstance, my favorite movie might be different than the next day, or my ice cream flavor. Same with Bible verses. Depending on what is happening in that moment around me, I've never really found one single life verse. And I laugh at myself because I think, oh, when I grow up, I'll finally pick a life verse. But I don't know. I don't know if that'll ever be me. But I did choose one today that I hope will share with you not only a little bit about myself, but help you through maybe a similar struggle or a similar phase of life that you might be in. And my verse that I chose is Colossians 3:13, and if I'm reading from my NIV Bible, it says, "Bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you." So, a little bit about myself, since this is such a personal testimony we're asked to give, or a personal devotional, is that I really love taking personality tests. Back early on in my career at different jobs, I had to take the Myers-Briggs type indicator test. I took the DISC, or the DISC personality test. And most recently, on my own, independent of jobs and other things that I've gotten involved in my community, in the school district, I've looked at the Enneagram, which is a personality test that kind of explains why we do what we do. So all of these all of these bring about, like, what are your strong character traits? And for me, I love doing them because they sort of give me a validation of why do I think the way I think? Why do I act the way I act? I love having some more self-awareness of my actions and my thoughts and my viewpoints. And for me, personality tests kind of help me understand myself when I just don't get it. And it helps me understand others if I'm able to know where they fall on different continuums of Enneagrams, for instance, or DISC personalities. So what I've learned most recently with the Enneagram and these other tests is that I'm a moral perfectionist. So those two words together probably really aren't good, but they are good. And there's a lot of good things about being a moral person, and there's some positive things about being a perfectionist. But when you put them together, it caused me some struggles. And it brings out my core weakness. And I'll share with you that my core weakness, the thing that continues to repeatedly cause me to struggle in life, is this thing called resentment, right? So now think back to the verse that I told you about forgiving others and bearing with each other, right? So I struggle with resentment. I suppress my anger about flaws and problems, and this leads to a continual frustration and dissatisfaction with myself and others and the world. So just think about our current situation with COVID and politics and riots, and I'm just a hot mess of frustration right now with the world. So I can find myself very easily constantly frustrated that things are not perfect. And here's the worst part. Then I think that I'm responsible for the one that needs to work on improving them. So I always believe that there's a right way to do things, and I assume that other people see these same problems, but they just choose not to fix it. They don't choose to act with integrity, leaving me to fix everything, right? And boy, does that create a lot of resentment in me. My inner critic is constantly shouting corrections, pointing out imperfections, and telling me where I need my moral obligation lies and how to fix them. That's a lot, right? And maybe you're there with me, and maybe you struggle with the same thing. But there's good news, right? There's good news because God offers us scripture upon scripture upon scripture, this whole book through of encouraging words. Because, when we're weak, He's strong, and so that's really good. And He brings us hope that we're not destined to be stuck in our weakness forever and ever and ever. So I'm not destined to be a frustrated moral perfectionist. So personality tests, going back to that, they're mindful tools and they're insightful tools, right? But God's truth is really what sets us free and brings about transformation. So in Colossians 3:13, it starts with bear with each other. And that's the part that I find myself just coming back to and repeating in my head over and over. Bear with each other, bear with each other. So that just basically means, sometimes I need to sacrifice for the people that I love, even when I have to give up something major. It means like understanding and knowing them and accepting my loved ones, and not even those the closest to me, but loved ones in general, the world, the community, the state that I live in, all of those things, accepting them, accepting my friends and my acquaintances, and knowing that they're going to fail me, sure. And I'm going to fail them. They're not always going to get it, and neither am I. So I probably will always struggle with resentment and not being perfect, right? But knowing that God has forgiven me over and over and over again, just like the scripture says, forgive as the Lord forgives you. It's just a feeling of fresh air. It's just like a relief knowing that it's okay. It's okay. God sees me as a righteous person because of His own perfect righteousness, and I'm going to be forgiven, and that's really wonderful to know. So if I can continue to focus on this verse, focus on the fact that the Lord forgives me, I can try to stop trying to control myself, trying to control others, being resentful, being judgmental. I can bring God those burdens, those thoughts, those emotions, the self-condemnation, and He will guide me to living lightly and freely all the days of my lives. See, friends, it doesn't matter what life verse you chose or you have or some of your favorite scriptures. The key message is always the same. We can come to God. We can depend on Him to change us from the inside out, to help us through our struggles. He will give us internal peace, joy, and security that will help us flourish in new life-giving ways. It's a message I tell myself, and one that I am happy and joyful to share with you today. God bless you. I look forward to seeing you. I'm seeing so many of you now, and it's a wonderful thing. Have a great week and a great, great day. Thanks for listening.